Okay, well, we have a quorum, so we could start.
Yeah, we're not getting an answer from the chair, so I say start.
Thank you.
Okay, I am going to call this meeting to order. And I would like to know if I could please have a roll call.
Yes, Chair Hansen, Chair Hansen,
Present.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia. Garcia,
He's not on the line.
Commissioner Moreno.
Present.
And for the record, is Chair Roy Ball available? You have
Also is not on the line.
Chair Hansen, there are three. You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to know if I could have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, roll call vote. Geraldine, you're going to need to call a roll call for the approval of the agenda.
Okay. Chair Roy Ball,
Excuse.
Chair Hansen, pardon me,
Present. Chair Hansen is present.
Yes,
Commissioner
ma'am.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Moreno.
Present.
And yes.
It's a
Yes.
yes/no vote.
Yes.
Yes. My vote is also yes.
For the record, you have 3 yeses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go on to item 2, action item, resolution amending resolution 2019-96 to adjust certain precinct boundaries and to designate a new polling place, voter convenience center, Bureau of Elections, Steve Frescus, and County Attorney Office, Cristela Valdez. Okay, Steve, take it away.
Good morning, Commissioner, members of the commission. I'm trying to post something on board docs that's going to show the polling place revision designation by commission district. In the meantime, we can go ahead and start. Before you, we have 2 resolutions. One of them will be proposed polling place changes for the 2020 primary election. We are going to consolidate the precincts one more time. We're going to have 19 polling places instead of the 30. 3 of the polling locations were San Ildefonso, the Tuca Pueblo, and the Nambe Pueblo. The Pueblo leadership decided they did not want to have polling places in their pueblos because they are closed due to the coronavirus. The rest of them, we are going to consolidate all the precincts for election day. We will be having early voting at all the regular sites, and we're going to be adding 1 early voting site to the Southside Library. The other resolution is to formalize the resolution that was passed a couple of weeks ago to change one of the locations from the Legacy Church in Edgewood to the town of Edgewood administrative offices, and to adjust a couple of precinct boundaries that were Senate and House boundaries. I think you remember the resolution that we passed a couple of weeks ago. So the intent is just to formalize the resolution so that we could send it to the court order to district court. Okay, Geraldine Salazar and myself stand for questions.
So I have the map on board docs. And so what we are doing is we're reverting to the blue lines and not the dash red lines, red lines? Is that what we're doing? Or we,
Okay, let me bring one of those up and I will go ahead and confirm that.
so like I'm looking at precinct 140. And I'm looking at the map, Santa Fe County Precinct Adjustment Exhibit A.
Yes. So we are going, the change itself is to move the boundary line back to the blue line from the red dash line.
Okay,
So our Freedom Road was formerly the Senate, both the Senate and the House boundary line. And we changed it to the riverbed because we wanted to have all those people between the blue line and the red line kept into the Agua Fria community because that's basically when you're drawing lines for the census, they like to keep community of interest together. We created that for the census changes, but they shouldn't have gone into effect until 2021.
okay.
So we are moving the line back to the blue line for this election cycle, and they will be changed back in 2021 to the red line.
Okay, I understand that. So that is, I just wanted to have clarity on that. Commissioner Hamilton, or?
Yes, I think we have gained the clarity I wanted because the introduction presented both resolutions. I wanted to be sure we were dealing with this one first. Because I have some discussion on the second resolution, but this one is clearly in my mind, pretty straightforward to change this back so it doesn't take effect until next year when it was supposed to. So notwithstanding any questions or discussion anybody else would have, I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, roll call vote?
Chair Hansen,
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes,
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Chair Roybal, Commissioner Garcia. We have 3 votes. Thank you. For the record, Chair Hansen, for the record, the resolution you just passed is Resolution 2020-36.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, I'm going to go on now to the next resolution. I just need to get it back up on my screen.
It was up there for a while.
I know, but I'm talking about my other computer. Okay, I am going to go to resolution amending resolution number 2019-96 to adjust consolidated precincts and redesignate the polling place of each precinct for 2020 primary elections and presidential primary elections only due to COVID-19 public health emergency. Okay, so we're on B. And Commissioner Hamilton, you had questions?
yes, thank you. And I want to preface my questions by first saying that I truly appreciate the way the clerk's office is very careful in approaching election issues. I recognize they are serious and committed to doing the best job possible with elections. And I say that sincerely. I think it's a critical thing. I mean, I recognize our commission has a very positive focus on how we handle elections and minimize, in fact, more than just minimize any attempted intentional or completely unintentional disenfranchisement. I think we actively work in the other direction, trying to assure, to be proactive in assuring enfranchisement of as many people as possible, which is the way it should be. So So first of all, the idea of reducing the number of election places gives me concern, not because of an intentional disenfranchisement, but the unintended consequences of having fewer places to go, of people being confused about where to vote, and in particular, because we're doing this because of the pandemic, in my mind, if we think we have enough poll workers to handle more sites, there is a trade-off that I want to find out whether this trade-off has been considered between having more places and therefore spreading people out if you have enough people to handle opening more sites compared to the trade-off of, seemingly having fewer poll workers exposed because you have fewer sites. So that's one question I'd like to have addressed. And then following that, well, I have 3 or 4 questions, so maybe we should deal with that one first.
Commissioner Hamilton, we have gone through great pains to analyze our numbers, consideration of the COVID-19 pandemic, pushing for absentee voting, including an additional early voting site, that using the county facility, parking facility in the bottom of the new county administration building. So we've gone through the numbers, we've gone through everything and we've utilized our expertise and experience in running elections. We are concerned like you because this is totally an unknown for everyone. And we work very hard. And these are the recommendations we have. I encourage you to support what we are recommending because of the great concern and health and safety of our community, poll workers, and staff. I think we have strategically put together what would be the best and the best interest of our community. Santa Fe County has been doing very well. So we're following in line with all the other policies the county has put together, and also in consideration of what is occurring now in our whole state, in our whole country, and in the whole world. So this is why we've come up with these, because we feel this would be in the best interest of health and safety.
I recognize that, but I think we need a little more discussion. You mentioned using the bottom of the county parking lot. I assume that's the idea of using that as a drive-through voting location. Is that being implemented?
That's what we're working on right now, and we are also having a dry run this morning. Now, it's not going to be drive-by. We can't do it because we looked at the whole process and we figured we can't do that. There'd be too many issues of moving machines back and forth and people coming out. So we're going to have an early voting in the bottom parking lot, and we're setting up a intake table where the poll workers will be. So we're hoping that if people come in, they can go in, park immediately, stand in line and distancing. And Friday is going to be a very busy day for, May 5th. Tuesday will be very busy for us because that's the only day where voters can come in, register to vote, or update their voter registration file, come in and request for an absentee ballot, and then vote immediately. So we have many different processes that I still feel comfortable about, different ways that voters can vote. And that's with the Secretary of State sending automatic applications to everyone that have not requested an absentee ballot. We've been working very hard. My staff works Sunday and Saturday. They're working from 7 to 7.
Yeah. I truly appreciate how hard the staff works. Are you telling me the underground parking lot is going to be like an outside voting place, but not set up as
Yes, that's correct.
Through access?
Yes, that's correct.
But it will be set up outside in a way that will minimize contact in the building?
Well, we don't want anyone in the building unless there's an emergency to go to the bathroom or if they have to go to the clerk's office. But we want to minimize no contact in the building. the more I thought of it, I thought if for some reason someone that was infected would attempt to go into the building, then we would be with the situation that the county would have to cleanse the whole facility based on some type of exposure. So I think the safest way would be down in the basement parking lot.
No question. So I appreciate you're doing that. What are the possibilities at some other early voting sites for having outside with tents set up as like a drive-through facility? And what is the possibility of setting up other places? Because in all honesty, I really believe that many people are going to be very hesitant about going out. And the more we can set up like drive-through testing, the more we're going to encourage voting now and in June and November.
I don't believe we have capabilities for the 19 other facilities. The good thing is that as far as we know that the schools that we will be conducting the voting convenience centers the children will not be there. So that helps us tremendously. And that's
Sure.
something that we do on a regular basis, communicating with the superintendents of schools and also with principals that give us a day where no children are around for their safety also, because we never know who attends, who will come to vote. So we have that communication. And so now with COVID and the schools closed, that helps us even more under the situation that the children won't be there or employees. We've added also an early voting site at the South Side Library. So we've tried to figure out every which way we could to successfully manage an election under the circumstances at 19 of the voting convenience centers and adding to the early voting sites, and also with the absentee ballot process that is ongoing for us in this office. And then now that the Secretary of State began issuing absentee ballot applications last Thursday. So that I believe there's multiple factors and multiple ways that voters can vote.
Well, I really appreciate that. I want to push just a little more.
Commissioner Hamilton. So I want to stay on topic. We're working on this resolution. So we're talking about this resolution. We have number C on the agenda where we will be talking about strategies and update and potential requests for direction on early voting. Okay, I see that
We're related. I appreciate your staying on topic. But I felt the two were related, and so frankly, I thought they were being handled simultaneously. But I'll happily defer. I just think it's very critical when we recognize we're cutting the number of voting places substantially. I want to make sure it's not being done in a vacuum, and that we're making these other considerations and that we're actually discussing them.
Commissioner,
So I'll go with your direction.
Go ahead, Clerk Salazar. I'm trying to control this meeting so we're not having a free for all.
Okay.
So,
Chair Hansen, Commissioner Hamilton, believe me, this is not in a vacuum. This is a strenuous process. In addition to that, I'm low staffed. I have 4 certified techs that will be out in the field. I have 1 that retired, so we're also short on staffing. So that's another issue. So having the 19 would be ideal with everything that we've put together, the way we've strategized, the support that we have from the county in setting up the county clerk's early voting site here in the basement parking lot. So I believe that we're doing an excellent job considering the circumstances. Thank you. I'm ready to move on. Chair Hansen.
Chair, may I say one more thing?
yes, Commissioner Hamilton.
I really appreciate it. Clerk Salazar, I wholeheartedly agree that you guys are doing everything you can, but I think this discussion is really critical for the record and for motivating the follow-up that I deeply feel like this, what we do to publicize what's being done, to push for just like the advertisements that your office and the Secretary of State's office has been doing for absentee voting. All of this is going to be really critical to counteract unintentional voter suppression. And I think that's true for the Pueblos as well. I think rural areas are going to be impacted by this, and the Pueblos, I respect that they're closing those 3 sites because of pandemic concerns. That's completely valid. And then we have to do everything we can to counteract the negative unintended consequences of that, which is going to be to reduce their participation in the vote, which we do not want. We really want everybody to vote. And I'm asking the questions not because I think you guys are doing an inadequate job. Absolutely not. I respect what you guys are doing, but I think any brainstorming we can do for how everybody can participate moving forward with this is really, really critical. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chair Hansen, Commissioner Hamilton, you're absolutely correct. Rigorous discussion and also thought is very important when it comes to elections. And that's what we do for any election and every election. Also, let me mention that drive-through voting is not supported in the New Mexico election law. Also, when we first discovered after the opinion of the New Mexico Supreme Court, I immediately mentioned to the Secretary of State and all clerks that I wanted the Secretary of State to take the lead statewide to inform the public, to educate the public regarding the circumstance, to advertise, because we had so many responsibilities at the county clerk's level that we could not do that. So I expected the Secretary of State to ensure that she would advertise statewide and help us out in that area. So there has been rigorous discussion with the 33 county clerks, with the Secretary of State, with my staff, our internal processes, and then also with the Santa Fe County, the management staff that has been working with us and helping us with the logistics in the basement parking lot.
Okay.
And I do appreciate your questions because you are absolutely correct. For what you have to mention, it may be on someone else's mind. Thank you.
Okay, so Commissioner Moreno, do you have any questions?
I don't have questions, but I am sensitive about having the maximum effort to make sure people can get to the polls. I think it's been a huge effort to make that happen, thanks to our esteemed clerk. And I think if people want to vote, they have an opportunity to vote. If they are deterred by the process in person, there's always the absentee, and that maybe, if anything, you might and encourage more people to go that route.
Thank you, Commissioner Moreno. So I have a few questions. One, I would like to know, Madam Clerk, I would like to know how you can get an absentee ballot up until when? How long can you request for an absentee ballot? Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry, my mic was off. Till May 29th, 2020.
Okay, you can request a ballot up until May 29th, 2020.
Yes, and that's cutting it real short for us. but we are encouraging people to immediately request for an absentee ballot if they want to vote that process. And also know that we are also in communication with our overseas voters, our voters who are in the military and all over the world are communicating with us requesting a ballot. So we're in that process now. And I look
Okay.
at all of my emails, whether it's in 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm responding, having my staff work with them so that they can get their ballot also.
Okay, with that, I would like to ask if there's a motion, if somebody would like to make a motion.
I would, but I also wanted to mention that I see Commissioner Roybal is on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just noticed that.
Okay, welcome, Commissioner, welcome, Chair Roybal. We have been having a discussion, and I was just on item B, 2B, and we're on that resolution, and I was just asking for a motion for that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hanson, for taking, running the meeting. I'm sorry I couldn't be here earlier. I had an unforeseen circumstance that I had to take care of, but I appreciate you taking over and running the meeting. I did have, and maybe this was already discussed earlier in the meeting, I've been sitting on probably here for about 5 minutes. And this question may have already come up, but how are we working with our senior citizens? I know that sometimes, and I'm not sure if, I know that San Alfonso, I talked to the governor a few days back, and I know that they were going to remain closed because they do have their gates closed right now to the public. And so in my district or in this area in Pawaka Valley, we're going to have a voting convenience center at Nambe Community Center, one at the Pawaka Middle School, and Tesuque. Is that correct? Are those the three, Madam Clerk?
Yes, that is correct, Chair Roybal.
Okay. I just want to make sure that when I disseminate it, if people ask me, I have it correct. Is there anything right now that we're helping as far as low-income voters and senior citizens that if they don't have a ride to the polls, is there anything that we're doing to help them at all with those situations?
We don't manage that process. I'm sure that facilities who have transportation for seniors, they do that on a normal basis. I don't know what their protocol is. That's something I would not like to have liability or responsibility for, supporting senior citizens. But I would assume that facilities and senior centers who do this on a regular basis would have that and also would follow protocol. I don't know. And I also have been receiving lots of requests from children for their elder parents to request for their absentee ballot. So that's a process that I see that senior citizens are opting to use.
Like in some of the senior centers, we do have seniors that vote at those convenience centers. So I know I just wanted to make sure that we get the information out to everybody so that they're not confused. They don't show up to their typical place that they vote and it's somewhere else. So I'm assuming that we'll have probably signs up at those locations as well. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
They will have, there will be signs at all voting convenience centers. And also, okay. I had put together this weekend an email to go out to all of Santa Fe County, who managers and those that manage those senior centers would have access to that. I noticed it did not go out, so I sent a second request this morning for all the information to go to Santa Fe County staff and managers. So that's my other thing. As soon as we resolve this today and I receive approval, I would like to start advertising and doing what I have to at my end. I have been concerned about advertising before I get full approval for the resolutions that we have presented to you so that I could get going. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
And those signs will also be at like in El Rancho, where they sometimes vote, there'll be signs there giving them direction to go to the middle school or to the Poake Voting Center or Tesuque, right?
Yes, that is correct. That is customary for our office, that if we know that voters and are accustomed to a certain polling place, that we do put signs there directing them to other locations. Yes, you are correct. That is something that we do.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hamilton?
I think your question is a good one. And you're referring to populations, seniors, for example, also low income, that aren't getting out for obvious reasons as much as they normally would be. And so normal modes of communication, like posting signs at senior centers, is going to be less effective. Very many fewer people will see that. And these might be the same populations that don't really, deal with social media very much, don't deal with email very much. And I have had some concerns about how to reach those populations. And so I think some additional thought about how we do outreach, which frankly, the commissioners can participate in, but it's a real concern about how to reach people who depend on certain routines. They might just anticipate that they'll be able to go to where they usually go to vote. And even the outreach to encourage absentee voting, which is really critical, and I wholeheartedly support, might need some creative modes of communication, like maybe something as seemingly ridiculous as the kinds of yard signs or whatever that people post around during campaigns. Not specifically in people's yards, but putting out more physical signs than just at the polling places to tell people where to go for information. I'm sure people in the clerk's office will have a lot more better ideas than that, but I would just like to see some thought given to the people that are going to be the hardest to reach and are going to be surprised by some of these changes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair Roybal and Commissioner Hamilton, it is customary throughout the state in senior citizen facilities that caregivers are aware about, even requested, because it's allowed by law that caregivers can request for an absentee ballot, and that's customary. But still, with our senior services within the county, and if we send out the most recent email that I wanted to send out during the weekend for county staff throughout, I would assume that those in charge of senior centers would also utilize some of the information we're sending and also request from me anything they need, whether a flyer or whatever they can put together and deliver to them during the food meal deliveries, whatever ways that others have to help us out, such as the way Public Works is helping us, IT is helping us, and all other departments helping us through this process, because it's massive. So I encourage senior citizen workers within this county system to also help us in any way they can, just like with masks. We've received tremendous help. Thank you.
Comments?
Chair Roybal.
Okay, I'm going to go to Commissioner Hanson. Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. I appreciate all the discussion. I think that it is really important about how we reach out to the voters. I think absentee voting is actually the way to go. And so I am gratified that the Secretary of State is sending out information to all voters about getting an absentee ballot. There are things on the internet that have been going around that after May 5th, you can't get an absentee ballot. And so that is one of the reasons why I wanted to clarify that situation. And I hope that the clerk, with her advertising, will make sure that people know that they can get an absentee ballot up until, they can request until May 28th, 29th to get an absentee ballot. And with that, I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 2B. And thank you.
Okay.
Chair
Yes.
Roybal and Commissioner Hanson, I also want you to know that Friday evening, we finalized a video that I worked with 2 citizens to put together a video of how to obtain an absentee ballot and how to submit it. So that was also in the press release I wanted sent out this weekend. And so there's a video that we created, and we completed it all by Friday evening. So that's another opportunity. And I will hopefully send them all out to you also, that video link, so that you can encourage people. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. So I have a motion for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Oh,
Okay. So we have a motion and multiple seconds from Commissioner Hamilton and Commissioner Moreno. Under discussions, any more comments, concerns? Okay. I do want to just acknowledge our county clerk for all her hard work and due diligence putting this together. It's definitely not going to be easy, but I do want to see if I schedule a coffee break on Cadice, so that if you could come with me to that coffee break, Madam Clerk, so we can make an announcement on the radio for our constituents. I think that would be really beneficial. Any other comments, Commissioner Hamilton?
I think that's a great idea. I was going to encourage all my fellow commissioners to try to both brainstorm and actually implement some outreach with respect to voting and the options, just like some of us did for, encouraging people to participate in the census. And we use the radio for that. So I appreciate you making that suggestion, Commissioner Roybal.
Thank you, Commissioner Hamilton. My other thought is that I'd like to work with you with the Pueblos, because we have a lot of community members in our valley that actually work for Oaque Pueblo and Buffalo Thunder, and attend their senior center as well. So if we can, I'd like to work with you on reaching out to the Pueblos to help us disseminate that information as well.
Thank you. Yes.
Madam Clerk, will that be acceptable to you?
Absolutely. Chair Roybal, you invited me last week to be on radio up north, and I was there and I focused on absentee voting.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And I've also been invited to Quesuave. So all of those, I'm on that also. So yes, and thank you.
Okay.
I'm willing to be on it again with you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and if there's not any other comments, I'm going to go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yes.
And I believe, is Commissioner Garcia on? Okay. And myself, Commissioner Roybal, is a yes as well. So we have 4 yeses, and the motion passes. Thank you.
Chair Roybal, for the record, the resolution you just passed is Resolution 2020-37. And I want you all to know that we are truly appreciative for your support and your vote today, so that we can continue to do what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk. Okay, can you read off our next agenda item, Commissioner Hanson? I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Yes, thank you, Chair Roybal. The next agenda item is 2C, which is an update and potential request for direction on early voting at 100 Catherine Street, County Manager's Office, Catherine Miller.
Mr. Chair, I think actually Geraldine already gave that update. It was where the early voting was going to be held at 100 Catherine, and it's going to be held in the downstairs parking garage, in the first floor of the parking garage. We were working with the clerk, see if we could do just kind of drive up and be able to stay in your cars, but as she stated earlier, that would require too much movement of the machines. But they will have it so people can come in, park there, vote there, and not come into the main building. And I think that was the main interest in trying to do it in the garage, was to keep less public, or to keep the public out of the building, since we have other functions going on in the building as well.
Mr. Chair, Chair Roybal.
Yes, Chair.
So one of the things that I heard, Catherine, was that people might have to go into the bathroom to use the toilet. Is there the possibility that we could get a porta potty put down in the underground parking position, so we could avoid any people entering into the building?
Chair Roy Ball and Commissioner Hanson, that has been discussed with Public Works. PJ immediately thought of that, and also Paul Olson. So that is being considered, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great point, Commissioner Hanson, and that's really great to hear that our staff is on top of that and taking care of it right away. So thank you for your leadership there, Madam Clerk, and thanks to Public Works, Mr. Montano, for thinking of that right away and being proactive. Are there any other comments or questions from the Commission? Okay, I just want to say thank you to Manager Miller for some more clarity on that subject. With that being said, I believe we're on announcements. Is that correct, Commissioner Hanson?
Yes, we're on 3 concluding business announcements at A and adjournments B.
And Mr. Chair, this is Greg Schaefer, County Attorney speaking.
Yes,
Under
sir.
announcements, we have typically been including our statement concerning executive or closed session at the next regular meeting of the BCC. Technically, under the Open Meetings Act, since this is the next open meeting, I would suggest that we go ahead and include the necessary statement concerning the April 28th, 2020 meeting. Namely, at the BCC's April 28th, 2020 meeting, we went into executive session at the end of the meeting and did not reconvene in open session. I therefore would respectfully request a motion to have the minutes of this meeting reflect that the matters discussed during the April 28, 2020 executive session were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure.
Mr. Chair, so moved by Commissioner Hanson.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson, for the motion, and thank you, Commissioner Moreno, for your second. I'm going to go ahead and go to a roll call vote so we can take care of that matter first. Commissioner Hamilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson?
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Garcia, I don't believe, is on. And myself, Commissioner Roybal, is a yes as well. So that's 4-0. Motion passes. Thank you for reminding us of that, Attorney Schaefer. We really appreciate it. So next we're going to go to announcements. Are there any commissioners that have announcements that they would like to share with their constituents or with the board? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close announcements, and I'll entertain a motion for dismissal.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Hanson.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion for adjournment from Commissioner Hanson and a second from Commissioner Hamilton. I'm going to go to Vote, Commissioner Hamilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Hanson,
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia, and yes from Commissioner Roybal. So we have a 4-0. Yes, the motion passes. I do want to thank my fellow commissioners and everybody listening in today for being here, and we appreciate your time. You guys have a great Monday. Have a great week.
Yeah, everybody have a great week also.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Carry
Thank you.
on. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you all again. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.